Today on Master Sprinter TV, we're going to do a comparison of sprint training with plyometric training. And with both types of training, your muscles and tendons are absorbing force through an eccentric action where, either in sprinting it's the ground contact during a sprint stride. During a plyometric jump, it would be on the landing. Elastic energy is produced, and then subsequently a concentric action releases that elastic energy. And so, say like on a sprint stride, you're kind of bouncing off the ground. During a plyometric jump, also you're bouncing off the ground, but upward or maybe slightly forward as well. But that's kind of the primary similarity. But we'll touch on some others. In addition to training the stretch shortening cycle, both sprint training as well as plyometric training help to improve rate of force development, tendon stiffness, reactive strength, as well as neural recruitment of fast twitch muscle fibers. Now, as we contrast sprint training with plyometric training, sprint training, the objective really, or the focus is more on kind of forward propulsion, generating horizontal force during acceleration, having short ground contact times during max velocity. There's going to be one leg either absorbing force or generating force at a time throughout the vast majority of a sprint. And then, during sprinting, you've got, anything from, Achilles to plantar fascia to hamstrings, hip flexors, glutes, calves, and so forth that are all involved in different, aspects of either, the start or acceleration and max velocity. Whereas with plyometric training, there's kind of a tendency to exaggerate one component of a sprint movement, and depending on the plyometric move that you're doing, it may focus more on one particular aspect, of that either tendon or muscle. So that's kind of your primary differences there between sprinting and plyometrics. Now, why does plyometric training have such a bad rap or bad reputation for generating injuries? Well, basically it comes down to, depending on the movement pattern, high landing forces, high eccentric overload, or kind of repetitive tendon stress, which again, if this is with sufficient volume of plyometric movements on top of strength training and sprint training, it can just lead to just more than your tendons and muscles, ligaments, and so forth are able to handle. So it kind of leads you into the next topic of, well, if we look at the risk-reward of doing plyometric moves as a master's athlete, what decision do we make? Now, many coaches and jumpers in particular actually have a favorable view towards plyometric training because plyometric training does help to develop reactive strength, develops rate of force development, as well as tendon stiffness. And so certainly for those athletes who have been doing plyometric work for many years and not having issues, then they should continue doing that sort of training. It's just certain athletes, such as myself, if you kind of do too much plyometric work on top of resistance training as well as sprint training, it can lead to injury. And so then it kind of brings into the question, well, hey, as a master's athlete, you're not looking at Division I scholarships or professional athletic contracts or corporate sponsorships. And so if you can get some of the same benefits of plyometric training by doing acceleration work or max velocity drills, then it kind of makes sense to say at least limit the amount of plyometric work that you're doing, because you already get many of those benefits from doing just normal sprint training anyway. So that's kind of the idea there of sprint training versus plyometric training. So for master's athletes who still want to incorporate some amount of plyometric work into their training, it's probably better to look more at the lower amplitude types of drills, such as maybe ankling drills, skipping, kind of low amplitude pogo hops, maybe consider jump squats, but maybe be a little more cautious about more aggressive type higher amplitude drills, such as single leg bounds, depth drops, hurdle hops, and so forth. Now again, there are athletes that do fine with those. I'm just not one of those. So I have to, like I said, I have to limit the amount of plyometric work that I do, and I like to stay away from kind of the more aggressive types of movements, because for me, at least, they do tend to lead to injury. Hopefully you can, like I said, be active, stay injury-free, and continue training. So hopefully you enjoyed the video, and we'll see you on the next one.